my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we're going to be showing you how to play a game that is currently on Kickstarter called Hollywood 1947.
This game is designed by Travis Hancock and published by Facade Games, who are helping sponsor this tutorial. And in this game, players are going to be taking on the roles of different people who work in the movie industry in Hollywood in the 1940s. It is just after World War II, and communism is a scare in the United States. And some people in the movie industry are patriots, and others might be communists. And it is your job to figure out who is who and ultimately try to win.
That's right. These communist members are trying to sneak in some propaganda into our films, and we can't allow that, right? This is the fifth game in the Dark City series, which includes games such as Salem 1692, as well as Tortuga 1667. And so today, we're going to be showing you how to play it. But before we begin, we do want to mention that this is considered a prototype copy of the game, even though this is pretty close to final copy.
Looks like it, yeah.
But things are subject to change in the future.
Now, if this game does interest you, there is a link to their campaign down in the description, which you could check out at your leisure. Also, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing.
And with that, we are ready to begin. So if you please direct your attention to the center of the table, we're all set up here for our 4-player game of Hollywood 1947. Welcome to Hollywood during the rise of the movie-making industry, right?
Getting close to the Red Scare, yes?
And so just to kind of give you the lay of the land, each player starts with one of these 9 different job roles, which are going to help us take certain actions. And so, as an example, I am the screenwriter.
Sure, and I have the producer here.
These roles are most likely going to change over the course of the game, but they're going to give you a specific type of action that you'll be able to take during the round. Each player also has a hand of 3 propaganda cards each, as well as their hidden loyalty card. And so in this game, there are 2 or 3 actually main loyalties. We have patriots, which are going to be a majority of the loyalty cards. We have communists, of course. And in certain player accounts, we also have a rising star. In typical social deduction fashion, these are going to be handed out randomly and they're going to be kept secret throughout the entire game. And so as the Patriots, your goal is to win 4 rounds in the game by having a majority of Patriot symbols on the film that you're making. And same goes for the Communists. They want to win 4 rounds with having a majority of Communist symbols.
Right.
The Rising Star, on the other hand, wants to kind of keep things even, and so we'll discuss their objective towards the end. Now, the game is played over the course of maximum 7 rounds, and each round is split up into 3 movie-making phases. You have production, premiere, and post. And over the course of the round, we're going to be taking turns taking 1 action each, doing things such as manipulating each other's propaganda cards in their hand, swapping job cards, re-rolling dice, in an effort to make sure that only players who are on your team are going to be contributing propaganda cards to the movie during the premiere phase. Propaganda cards will either belong to patriots, communists, or they'll be neutral. And during the premiere phase, each player who has a star showing on their die get to contribute a propaganda card face down to the movie genre. And once we do the big reveal, we're going to count up all of these symbols, and whichever side has a majority symbols is going to win that round. Now, the distribution of loyalty cards are going to differ depending on player count, but the Patriots are always going to have the majority. And so before you start the first round, all players are going to start by closing their eyes, and the communists will be able to open their eyes and see who else is a communist along with them. Once that's done, then everyone can open their eyes again and you're ready to begin the game. But keep in mind that throughout the game, open socializing and discussion is really encouraged, and sometimes lying might be necessary. Each round starts with the production phase, and during this phase, starting with the player who has the lowest number job and going clockwise, each player is going to take 1 action each. Now, there are 3 different types of actions that you can take on your turn, but again, you're only choosing 1, or you can pass. And so the first type of action that you can take is simply performing your job. And so each of the 9 roles has a different type of action that you can take that's listed on the card. So starting with role number 1, the screenwriter. As a screenwriter, I get to draw 2 genres and choose 1 for the round. And each genre card has a specific number of loyalty symbols at the bottom right-hand corner. As you can see, the comedy genre has 2 patriot symbols.
More patriotic.
Yeah, and the horror genre has 2 communist symbols. So I might make my decision based off of what my loyalty is. Since I'm claiming to be patriotic, I'm going to put comedy into play.
Sure.
And so that is the film that we are making this round. If the screenwriter is not currently assigned to any players, and instead the role is in the center of the table, then you just draw 1 card from the top of the deck randomly.
The next job is the producer, number 2. This allows you to swap any 2 job cards. This includes your own job card. If you end up swapping your own job card, whatever new one you get to perform that action right away.
And in fact, anytime you see the word any in this game, that always includes yourself. The third role is the director, and the director allows you to give a token to any player. And so during the premiere phase, any player who has one of these tokens can discard the token to contribute an additional one.
This can be helpful if you kind of have an idea of who has your loyalties, because then you can kind of influence what happens in this movie.
The next role is the gaffer, and the gaffer allows you to perform up to 3 total rerolls on any combination of dice. And so when performing this role, you can reroll the same die multiple times. You might want to do this because, again, during the premiere phase, only players who have a star showing in front of them get to contribute cards to the film. So if you have an idea as to who some people are, then you may want to re-roll their dice.
The next 3 have to do with manipulating people's propaganda cards in their hands. Number 5, the cinematographer says you force any player to discard their hand and draw 3 new cards. Number 6 and 7 are actually the same, the actress and the actor, and this allows any player to draw 2 cards and then discard 2 cards.
Job number 8 is the composer, and they get to draw 2 cards from the deck, add one face down into the movie, and then discard the other.
Hopefully this will help out with their loyalty, but if they draw 2 cards of the other one, then unfortunately they have no choice.
And finally, we have the editor, whose job will come into play during the premiere phase, so we'll talk about that later. Now, if you choose not to perform your job, you have 2 other options. You can either swap your job with one of the ones from the center, although you don't get to take the action of your new job. This is simply for reserving that job for the next round. Or you can choose to re-roll up to 2 different dice. And so unlike the gaffer, this has to be 2 different dice. You cannot re-roll the same die twice. Now, once everyone's taken one action, then you move on to the next phase, which is the premiere phase. And this is where we contribute cards to the movie. At this point, each player with a star showing on their die gets to contribute a propaganda card face down into the movie.
Any player who has a token that was given to them by a director may spend that token to place a card into the movie.
And then you add the top card of the deck into the movie as well. Now, I do have to mention that if the composer performed their job this round, then you skip that step because they would have already contributed an extra card.
Right.
But once that's done, then you pick up the entire pile and you shuffle it, removing one randomly. Now, if the editor chose to perform their job, this is where they come into play. Instead of discarding this card, you give it to the editor for them to view, and they can decide whether the card goes back into the movie or if it gets discarded. If they choose to put it back into the movie, then you reshuffle the entire pile and you randomly remove one again.
By doing this, the editor has a little bit of a chance to have a say in what happens in this movie.
Then it's time for the big reveal, and you flip over all of the propaganda cards that went into the movie, and you count up all the symbols, including the symbols that are on the genre card itself. So in this example, we have 1 communist symbol and 3 patriots. So someone did something bad, but it seems like a majority of the team is still good. You then indicate who won by placing the proper film strip over the genre, just like this. It was a patriotic film in the end. And then you end the round by going into post. And so at this point, if any of the propaganda cards played were congressional hearing cards, then you re-roll all of the dice. And if one or more shake-up cards were played, then you shuffle all of the job cards together and you redistribute them. Otherwise, if neither of those cards were played, then the dice as well as the jobs stay the same for the next round. And finally, all players draw back up to 3 cards, because all players should start the round with 3 cards in their hand. Lastly, all cards played go into a face-down discard pile away from all players so that nobody can view the discarded cards, and you are ready to begin the next round. And as soon as one team has won a total of 4 rounds, and that's either the Patriots or the Communists, then they win the game. Also, in certain player counts, there will be a sole rising star, and they are trying to play both sides. So if the Patriots and Communists win 3 rounds each, they actually have to win the 7th round by a margin of at least 2 symbols. If in that 7th round, they either tie for the same number of symbols or they only win by 1, then actually the rising star is the sole winner of the game. So as you can see, their goal is to try to just play as evenly as possible and not rock the boat too much so that you can make it to that 7th round and then either tie or just win by 1. And that's essentially how you play the game. Now, there are a number of ways in which you can customize your gameplay by introducing optional variants. And so for more information regarding these variants, as well as any other additional information regarding the campaign, we've included a link to their campaign down below.
Now, if you have any questions about the game or anything you saw here, feel free to leave them in the comments down below and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. And thank you again so much for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.